Welcome to Breaking Chains podcast. I'm your host, Nardia Stone, and today I'm going to be bringing you information, knowledge, and enlightenment of metaphysical law. We'll talk about metaphysical law, the higher self and the lower self, and pain into purpose. So, whatever enters the consciousness of a man expresses itself through in and through the personality of a man. Um, Whatever enters your consciousness, you ever hear garbage in, garbage out. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And if you think about it, another word for energy is spirit. Energy is contagious. And if you are surrounded by, let's say, a whole bunch of people that are negative, you will be negative. You surround yourself with millionaires and enthusiastic spirits, you will turn around and be a millionaire, and you will have an enthusiastic spirit. It's law. We become what we most predominantly surround ourselves with, and not only that, but our main environment does affect us. Our environment does affect us. So whatever enters the consciousness of man will express itself through the personality, through your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So it's important to be mindful of whom you're around and who you keep around you. This is one of the most important of all the laws of life. And when it is immense scope, it is fully comprehended. Thousands of perplexing questions will be answered. You can trace back through the law of cause and effect. You can see if you reflect on your life and you look at where you are and ask yourself, how did I get here? How did I get where I am? What chain of events led me to this space that I am in? As I ask that question and I look at my life, I can trace back through the law of cause and effect, sowing and reaping, how I got to where I am now, how I'm successful today, how am I running a multi-million-dollar business. Because I remember what thoughts I was having maybe 8 years ago when I started my entrepreneurial journey. I was working at a hospital making maybe $11 an hour. I was struggling to take care of my two children. At the time, one was 4 years old, my son was 4, my daughter was 2. It was very challenging being having a single income home. I was in a relationship, but at the time, he struggled to keep work, and it was challenging. So, one day I had a thought. I said, you know what? If I'm doing all the struggling and I'm working for someone, why don't I have faith in the vision that God gave me, and step out on faith and go for more? And I did. I started small, and I started with body oils, and I sold those part-time at work. In one weekend, I made more money selling oils than I did at the job, working hourly. And then the light bulb clicked off. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I just made more money, selling these oils, I made like $300 that weekend, and I got paid from the job working that weekend about $160 for those 2 days that I worked. And I was like, you know what? I can keep this going. So I kept it going, and before I knew it, I was making more money, selling my oils than I was at my job, so I quit. I don't advise this because it was not easy. It was very challenging. But I started a cleaning service, and, the next year I landed a contract. God blessed me with a contract of $20,000 in 1 month, and I did that with a team, and we did that consistently for 3 years. And I never seen my kids. It felt like I never seen my kids. I went through so much sacrifice and so much pain. I cried out to God. I said, Lord, I know there's more. And God said, yeah, I told you to do what I told you to do. God told me before I started the cleaning business and the oil, he told me to build a bank. He told me to, buy real estate, and gave me the vision to do what I'm doing right now, which is talk to you and to tell you and explain and share my life's journey and his glory with you. So that's what I did. I I listened to God, and I didn't listen to Him until 2019. He told me this 2012, and I listened to Him in 2019, and I started really getting serious about building my knowledge in economics, and I started seeing results, and I had a breakthrough, made my first million in my business, and it's been history. The rest is history. But through the law of cause and effect, I can trace back the thoughts. You see what I'm saying? The thought, okay, I can do this. I have faith. I know God is on my side. I know if I put in the effort, faith without works is dead, I will get the result, right? So that's what I did. And now I have the result. No, law of cause and effect can show you how your every action there is a reaction. And if you look at the law of the universe and you understand that you can look at nature. Nature shows you God's law. You plant apple seed, you're going to get what? An apple. You plant a oak seed, you're going to get an oak tree. It is universal law. You sow seeds of love, peace, and prosperity, you're going to reap love, peace, prosperity. You sow thoughts of hatred, resentment, animosity, bitterness, you're going to reap anger, hatred, animosity, negativity, and bitterness is law. And once I really woke up to this understanding, my life changed. Whatever enters the consciousness of man will express itself in the personality of man. Well, as within, so without. That's universal law as well. So if I'm constantly, raising my vibration and thinking thoughts of love, peace, joy, tranquility, no matter what the situation may be in front of me, I keep myself lifted in high consciousness, no matter what the appearances may be, because God is all there is. If you can train yourself, and this takes discipline, train your mind, discipline your mind. I don't care what's going on. I don't care what happened. To train your mind, to keep your mind, your thoughts lifted in high consciousness, no matter what the appearances may be, understanding that God is all there is. Think about it. God made the sun, the moon, the trees, the stars. I never seen the moon fall out the sky. I never seen the sun fall out the sky. I never seen it. Every day, I don't have to think about my heart beating, right? God keeps it beating. When you really sit and think about the little minute details, the minute details of the universe and of us, and see how perfectly synergetic, like in synchronicity, everything runs just so smoothly, you will have a greater respect for God, a reverence for God and His laws. And you will, like a gatekeeper, guard your mind. You will guard certain things from entering your mind. You just won't entertain it. It can be presented. Someone can come up to you and be negative and present some negative facts to you. That's just facts. The truth never changes. The truth of the law, of God's laws, never change. Now, the facts that are presented always change. That's why it's important to be rooted in the truth of God's laws. Whatever enters the consciousness of man will express itself through the personality of man. So if a man is negative and crazy, that's because that's what he has in his consciousness. You see what I'm saying? As within, so without. You cannot express anything that is not within you. Right? So when we examine the principle upon which this law is based, we find that our environments are the results of our actions, inactions, and our omissions, our error, and are the results of our thoughts. And when I really sat down and God sat me down and showed me, baby, all your life that you created is just from your mind. And that's what I want. I want your mind. I want you to strip everything down and ask me to show you your character. Ask me, Lord, show me my character. Show me my mind. Because that's what's creating my life. In Proverbs, there's a Bible verse that specifically says, be careful how you think. Your thoughts run your life. Be careful what you think, because your thoughts run your life. See, I had been a victim. I was a learned victim of my environment. I gave my power away. I was one of those people who give their power away. Let's say facts will come to you, some negative situation will come to me, and I would react to the situation or the facts that came and were presented to me. I would give my power away. That's how I lived majority of my life until God set me down. Kind of like Santa, like how people sit on Santa's lap. I'm just playing, but seriously, God really set me down. I was like, look, I need you to strip everything down. I need you to really get raw with me. Learn my ways. Seek my truth. These facts, baby, will always change. But my truth will always remain. When you examine this leading metaphysical law, when you examine this law, whatever enters the consciousness of man will express itself through the personality of man. If a man is negative, beating on his wife, yelling at his wife, what's in his consciousness? How is his thought process? Is his mind rooted in truth and love? No. All right? And look what he's manifesting. Our physical conditions, the results we get, are results from our state of mind. Our state of mind is the result of our ideas. What is he entertaining? What kind of thoughts is he entertaining for him to be treating his wife so cruel? You get what I'm saying? We have to examine our thoughts. And how do we change our thought process? How do we get better thoughts? That's what I asked God. I said, okay, Lord, okay, I see my thought process has been a little off. A lot of off. But what do I do? God said you need to root yourself in me, in the truth. All right? Root yourself in me, in the truth. We're instructed, and he led me in the Bible where it says to think on those things that are true, those things that are noble, those things that are high in consciousness. We're to only think on pureness, keep our minds lifted in high consciousness, no matter what the appearances may be, because God is all there is. So I started listening to affirmations before I go to bed, because I learned about the subconscious mind. The Holy Spirit God led me to learn about the mind, and I understood that the subconscious mind runs 95% of your life. And your subconscious mind is influenced from birth. So 95% of the things you do is just learned behavior. You got to unlearn it. You learned it from people that were ignorant, didn't know any better, that learned it from people that were ignorant, and didn't know any better, that learned it from people that were ignorant, that didn't know any better. So it's pulling back the veil of ignorance. Pulling back the veil of ignorance. And shedding it and illuminating your consciousness with enlightenment and truth of God's laws, ways, because his ways and laws are good. God is on your side. He's not against you. He wants you to prosper. He wants you to succeed. He's not in punishing you. Now, he does discipline those he loves. And that's just the law of effect. So if you did something that was outside of the law, because the law is always working, you're going to reap that the consequence of what you've done, what you've sown, I should say, outside of the law. So if I sowed negative thoughts, if I sowed negative vibration into the universe and into other people, I'm going to reap that back. It's law. I'm going to get that back. But in order for me to change what I'm reaping, I need to change what I'm sowing. Do you see where I'm coming? Once you understand that, our thoughts are mental creations patterned after the impressions that exist in our consciousness, you'll change everything. You understand that our thoughts are mental creations. It's our creations, patterned after the impressions that exist in our consciousness. It's what you entertain. So every thought you think is not true. Okay, that's why the Bible instructs us to bring all thoughts into captivity. You know, if you have a thought, oh, I should go over there and I should, is that a thought that God would want you to entertain? If you love God, you would watch your thoughts. God doesn't want you to entertain that. Because if you entertain that thought, you're going to manifest it. And then you're going to go over there and, I should thought is going to manifest. And you're going to go do something like that. I know through experience. So it's about being conscious, being aware of our own thoughts. Like a TV. Think about your mind like a TV screen. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean you should entertain it. So if you're having a thought that's not conducive to growth, to your personal growth, it's not going to be good for, creation or manifestation in your life, you should drop that thought. You should turn it like you would turn a TV. You see something on TV you don't want to watch, you should turn that thought over and say, delete, you're done. I'm not entertaining this thought. I'm not entertaining this. And turn on and think about another thought that is worthwhile. You have to discipline your mind. You have to discipline yourself to stay lifted in high consciousness, no matter what the appearance may be, because God is all there is. The highest service you can render to God is to give expression to what He is trying to give the world through you. The only service you can render to God is to make the very best of yourself, in order that God may live in you to the utmost frequency. God can only live in a person that's willing to have Him in, to invite Him in. And we invite God in to our lives and to our being and to our souls by surrendering to His will and His thoughts, which are good, which are high in nature and vibration. And it's very counterintuitive to the world that we live in. We live in a world that's negative and that's always looking for the worst and always talking about the worst. So it's not the normal. The Bible even states, be not of the world, neither the things in it. We're not to be like the world. We're here to bring the light. If your ears listening to my voice, you're here to bring the light. You're here to bring the light. So when we examine the principle upon which this law is based, we can really see that our errors are the result of our thoughts. Our errors, our mistakes, are the result of our thoughts. I remember the time I could trace back to the law of cause and effect when I made a mistake and I did something very, when I thought about it, like, wow, you did what? It was very, very wrong. And I'm like, well, how did I do that? Because I wasn't conscious of my thoughts. I was unconscious. I was thinking really, 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 really dark thoughts. Evil thoughts. And why? Because I was so focused on the facts that were presented to me, like the things that happened to me. That's like if someone comes up to you and they abuse you and mistreat you, through our nature, our natural, undisciplined, fallen nature, we react to that negativity. We do. If someone comes up to you and cusses you out, you're going to want to, by nature, naturally cuss them back out. It's in our nature. And that's how I used to live until God said, baby, I have a higher calling for you. I want to show you my truth. Because when you live at a higher frequency and you don't live on the same level as the majority of the people on earth are vibrating on, You're going to get opposition. You're going to get haters. You're going to get all the forces of darkness is going to rise up against you. Like Martin Luther King, Jesus, Gandhi, look at him. Every great person receives great opposition from the powers of darkness. But I can trace back through the law of cause and effect all my omissions, all my errors to my thoughts. But my thoughts were being manifested from the facts that were presented to me. I was manifesting my thoughts from the mistreatment, from the hatred that I was experiencing from the world. But God set me down and said, baby girl, you can't keep living like that. You have to keep yourself lifted in high consciousness, no matter what the appearances may be, no matter what the facts may be, no matter what people say, no matter what people do, because I am all that is. And once I got that in my soul and it resonated, I left everything and everybody that was bringing negative vibrations my way. And it was family. It was family. I had to leave. God instructed me to do that. Because he had a higher calling for me. He had a higher purpose for me than to be meddling with lower vibrational people that refuse to acknowledge and worship God. The almighty, powerful God that made the sun, the universe, the trees, the stars, and turned around and made you and I. They refused. But God said, don't focus on them. Focus on me, and I promise you, you'll get the victory. And I have it. So as I wrap this up, what I'm saying is, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, I want you to take this one thing away. And I want you to understand today that your pain and every negative thing in your life will be transformed to work for your good if you learn to love the law of God.